wrong. Okay, that's not right. This should be a nice little, here's some concept art manual. Here's some of the UI. Here's some of the characters, and here's exactly what those characters do in the game when you push these buttons. All right, and what is the overall mechanic, and what there's a great history of games. What's your game like? What should if it's just like this game over here, tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, some of the things that I get when I have students come by and visit me in my office and kind of say, what sort of game should I do? My devil's advocate is always, well, what games you really enjoy, and get something that you're personally invested in, because I had a student come by, very bright individual, but it was hard for him to quantify some of the changes he was trying to do to a tower defense because he didn't play tower defenses. And so he couldn't inherently have a visceral reaction of, that is not good, I don't like that. Because when I play Lost Earth or The Creeps or World of Warcraft's TD, I get a nice feedback when they do this loop, when I get my furthering of the powers or whatever. So there is no cap on the genre that you have to be attracted to. You can do a mashup, but some personal love for it will carry it through when it becomes past the point of it's sexy being the leader, and it's like 2 in the morning and you're like, oi, it's a job. That love will carry you through. So please have some personal investing in what you propose.
This should be a passion project, all right? This is, I have to build this game. I have to tell you, when I turned 50 years old, I actually quit my previous job, and because I wanted to found the games program here in the engineering school and the joint games program between cinema. I had to do it. So I don't know if you ever have gotten to that point in your life, you had to do it. So the game you turn into this class is the game you have to build. Because when you go into industry, you want to, all of the hiring people for game industry come to our demo day. And so when you're interviewing with them, and you say, I was on DancePad, they all saw DancePad, they know exactly what it is, then they can say, that game is great, I want to talk to you, because you're a part of that. What did you do on it? And so I think it's really critical that you have a total passion, something people will remember, right? And I think you have to do that. So I'm still enjoying being here. I've been here 8 years now, and this is the joy of my life. But you have to feel that way about this game, because what's going to happen is you're going to have a team of 20 to 40 people, and you're going to be driving that team from May 20th to the next May 20th. You're going to spend a year with those people, which means at some point in time, a couple of you will come into my office saying, we can't stand each other anymore, can you help us fix that? And I say, let's all go get some coffee, all right? And please do that first before you come see me. Because there are stresses on doing these projects. If you're going to be a lead, you have to do the lead. If you're going to be lead engineer, you're lead engineer. You got to be there. You got to plan. You got to dole out the tasks to the engineers. If you're a lead artist, you got to do the art stuff. If you're a lead producer, you got to schedule everybody. All right.
Right. And that's one of the most important things that we've decided to concentrate more on, is that when you propose a game, that is very attractive, but there's also a lot of work involved, because that you will be the singular person that has to figure out where everything goes. And you have to have a much higher level view on progression of levels, what it means, what mechanics you're doling out per level, which ones you mash up and mix later, and really having and constantly reinventing solutions for the inherent problems you'll get in production. Not if things break, but when things break.
Yes.
And so we're going to be spending a lot more time with the managers and the producers, pulling them aside and trying to give them a little more personal training, because it's not fair to throw people from a school environment where really you've been given more of a solitary existence, do this assignment, hand it in, and suddenly you're thrown into the pit of managing a team of people, which is its own particular brand of insanity. But in a very good way, because everyone wants to make a good game. So as Mike says, we don't just need a fairly cohesive, again, not detail-oriented, but just basic idea of how your mechanics all go together when you propose your game. But we're also going to be spending a little more time on the managers and the producers, training them how to deal with what their full range of responsibilities are, the big view on everything, but also dealing with the flow of us strange humans.
Yeah, when you get to a couple things, one of the things that makes this program attractive for hires for the game industry is that at the end of the year, you know, when you've done 2 semesters in this team and it's 20 to 40 students large, you know how to work in a cross-disciplinary collaborative team. Probably the first time most of you have, who are engineers, who have worked with designers is in the CTIA 488 class. And that's, I think, a very interesting experience because that class is historically focused on paper game design. And engineers, it's like, oh, I gotta program something. No, go through withdrawal in the end of that class. And so that we hope that at the end of that class, you guys are all friends, you all know each other, and that you know how to pick the team who's gonna help you, you're gonna spend a year with. And what also is gonna happen is all of these people in this room are gonna be with you your whole career. Because when they graduate, they're gonna get the best jobs in the game industry, whether you be IMD or CS. And you are all going to go to various different companies, and you'll ship a game, and maybe you'll switch to a different company, and there'll be your other friend from USC.
There's the best managers that I've worked with always see the setup of people that they have. It's kind of like its own little game. You've got a finite supply of people, and it's just rearranging them in the proper places, and everything sings. And usually people just can't compute. No, you do this job, and you do this job, and if it doesn't work out, there needs to be much more of a flow about, okay, let's kind of rethink things, how can we restructure to get it all moving again? Because people are not, we've turned out fantastic games in here, and I'm constantly attracted by the nature of the definition of what is a game, with the social strata changing, the hardware continuing to change, the demographic changing entirely. As far as, like, you know, remember when there was a thing called Facebook and Mafia Wars was the top of the line, and people thought it's as much bloodletting and as much male, in your face, alpha, kill 'em, Farmville, what? And it was completely changed now. This bucolic planting of carrots, and so it changes constantly.
The senior software engineer on Mafia Wars was from this program. The senior software engineer on Farmville and Farmville 2 is from this program.
Right.
The senior software engineer on Zynga Poker is from this program. These are people who graduated before you. That's where you're going to go.
So we invite you to think up all the kind of crazy stuff you want to do, because you'll be doing someone else's ideas when you graduate. That's not a bad thing, by the way. If you can make someone else's project sing, you are gold in the industry. So to those of you that propose your own ideas, there's a lot more work involved, but that's okay if you're really into it, heart and soul. And if you want to work on a team and you can make it look even better with your input, etc., that's gold as well.
So what Scott's saying is, try and think of your most creative game here. That's going to be fun to play. And the model should be that if you give it to Mike Zida or Scott Easley or Laird Malamed, and we sit down and play it, that we know how to play it. You don't have to narrate us through playing the game. Okay, and that's one of the things that we look for when we walk through this class over the year, is if every time we come and go and play, you narrate me through, then that's not right. Because I need to sit down, you know, I can pick up most games on the iPhone or on the iPad, and I can do them right away, because they're all kind of drive the same way.
Accessibility is key.
Yeah, and so there's some classic interface strategies. Don't make big changes in that unless you have a very strong technological reason to do so. I mean, it's sort of like, I'll give you an example. You know, you see the QWERTY organization of the keys on the keyboard. And there was this guy named Dvorak who said, I'm going to rechange the keys and make them in alphabetical order and make it easier to type. And I knew exactly one person in my whole life who actually switched to that kind of keyboard. He's handicapped for life. Because he had to have his own keyboard with him wherever he went. But it's kind of funny.
And he speaks Esperanto.
You know, he didn't, I don't know. He's the kind of guy who would have. Had he been there. All right, other questions? This is a fun class. You come out of this at the end. We have 2 demo days. We do a demo day in December at the end of the first semester. And we changed the format of demo day this year to, I think, a much better demo day. The December demo day is all live demos in the gallery over in Cinema. It's a nice space. And we had, I think, 25 companies come and have hiring tables, and some had hiring rooms. And I think we conducted 200 interviews, and that's a big deal. We, somebody's eating on the keyboard. We have demo day that's coming in May. The next coming demo day is May 14th. It's going to be again in the Norris Theater. You're demoing your game live on stage. It must not crash. And you'll be up there. And at the end of your demo, we'll have your whole team up there. We'll take a beautiful picture of all you guys up there. It's going to be awesome. We get a lot of press that just comes and covers that. And then we'll do live demos in the gallery. We'll have wonderful food. It's a great event. Since we've slipped into the second week of May, right against graduation, it's going to be Tuesday. Graduation is Friday. People can even bring their parents if they want.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm going to be teaching over the summer a mobile games class. So if you wanted to come in and kind of get your feet wet with the process of doing a game document and working on a smaller scale project, I'm offering that class again at nights during summer so that when your internships or jobs during the day are over, you can come here at night.
What night?
Probably Tuesdays and Thursdays, but that's sort of vacillating. I haven't even signed up for it yet.
Okay. All right. Other classes. So size of this class, right now, the current class has 80 engineers in it. I think there are 20 interactive media students, and that gets you to 100. And then there's 150 artists and musicians that are working with this class as well. So we usually reach out to artists at Laguna College of Art and Design, Neumann School of Visual Effects, and Atlantic University. So, and we have some Otis people this year.
Yes.
Anywhere else?
SCAD?
Not that I'm aware of. Art Institute possible.
Yeah, so what happens is we give you free rein to go get artists elsewhere. So the Fine Art, we have, once a year, we get one person from the Fine Arts program at SC. Have we ever gotten anybody from the animation program? I think we have one person this year.
I think we do have one person.
One person, so though we haven't got many people from there. I have a plan to create a game art and design program here. It's a long, it's a single page piece of paper, which there's some difficult, universities are difficult politically, and so we haven't been able to successfully get there. What we need is someone to make a donation that says, I want this to happen. Right. So in the process of hiring out there, by the way, 65% of the jobs in the game industry are for engineers who can program and build games, 30% is for artists who can do game art and design, and about 5% is for designers. Okay, so design is a tough way to go unless you also have some kind of programming ability, and then you can get technical designer jobs. And the company that seems to hire most of those is Sony Santa Monica. So we have a bunch of technical designers that have gone over there, so they're doing that. Another area that seems to be growing is people with a minor degree in business of some sort. Electronic Arts and Activision are starting to get very excited about some of our teams have business people. I have to tell you, Core Overload has a guy who's a bachelor's in business of entertainment, and he is their community manager for the project. I've never seen a community manager for a project except for this year. I think that's pretty damn amazing. All right. Other things? Any questions? No. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about outside funding? I know the holodeck got some, but is that happened in the past besides?
That's unusual. I think
Very rare.
I think the Forrest Walker team. Did you guys get someone to buy you iPad?
Yes.
Yes. And that was a bad. It's rare. Don't count on it. I mean, so what you should think about is when you are a student in this class and there are 40 students on the team. The experiment that you guys ought to all do is keep track of your hours, all right, and turn in an hour sheet and put in a hypothetical amount of pay. And I did this experiment one year, and a team of about 25 people who spend a year is probably $2.5 million to $3 million worth of labor. Okay. So what you're going to be driving when you have a team here is you're spending $2.5 to $3 million of obviously not real money, but that amount of labor, and you ought to be able to get way beyond pre-production prototype. In the 12-month period, if it was a mobile game, like an iPad game, or an iPhone game, you should be able to ship it by demo day in May. You will have spent double the amount of time with a team that's 3 times larger than most people spend in an iPad game. Your game will be spectacular. You look at the dance pad that came out of here, oh my God, that's awesome. Wonderful for an iPad game. Some of the other games that we've got, I always get the feeling that if we get to May, and if I could like not let you go work for a summer, and say, finish your game, you could probably ship it by August or September, right? But that would mean you don't take a job after graduation, but you form a company that's going to say ship your game.
And also, we've had some incredible successes. I also want people to come at this with a labor of love
Yeah.
instead of just some financial gain, because the truth is that this is not lotto to be won.
Yes.
It really is experience to get you a job in the industry. And we've had phenomenal successes with people that have 40-plus team members that all say, this is all for our mutual portfolios. And
Is
they're
it-
just knockout games, and they're just meant to be these, to show off your managerial skills, your artistic skills. There is a surplus of talent over at Nomu because I teach there. People looking to hitch their wagon to an engineer, engineers hitch wagon there. And if that all keeps the straight and narrow with, we all win if we can just get this demo done, and that's all it's meant to be, you get incredible knock 'em out of the park games like Blink. That for those of you that ever saw that, and if you haven't, go on the GamePipe website and look at the archival movie of it. It is a knockout. And because it's bereft of any, human failings of greed, everybody did amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So it's another thing to keep in mind when applying.
So yeah, the game that you're building is for your portfolio, all right? That's the best model. The second you all start worrying about who owns what percentage, if you don't, you should just split it evenly. And the only other way to do it is keep track of your hours and agree on an hourly rate for everyone, and then you can figure out a percentage that way, which you'll go insane doing that, all right? So what you want to do is you want to graduate with a rocking game for your portfolio, and everybody on the team is friends, and everybody on the team, when they get a job, they're going to also hire you and bring you in,
Yeah.
wherever they are,